a woman before, hata kama saa hiyo that stage mnaongea and it hasn't gone anywhere, like a woman becomes okay with her own emotions before she pulls the trigger to pull back. That's how we deal. Like kwanza, you take care of your heart before you even tell the guy that I'm not feeling you. I mean, not all men. However, and I want to emphasize, however, and there's this debate have been going on online. If you ask a woman if they want to be alone with a man or a bear, they will choose a bear for reasons. And I pour out.
Okay, all right. So,
wow.
you know, there's been, I don't know that you guys have been seeing this this YouTube show that has been going viral of this lady who interviews, you know, like men and women, and then there's a bunch of like women there with balloons.
Oh, the pop balloon thing.
The pop balloon thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, that thing has been going everywhere you go. You're meeting it, you know, because now even people are doing versions of reacting to the show. So it's a very simple concept, but it's very telling, you know, like in terms of what sometimes
I think it's also telling, and I'm in agreement. I think the issue here sometimes, the programming that has formed us, makes us react, and it's also could be corrected, I think, but also like our peers, our circles, they shape, they sort of somehow shape our reaction to stuff. Like now, for example, guys want to be identified with a mama who is hot. She could not even boil water to save her life. But the fact that that mama is hot, that is it. This mama is just so fine. Because we are so focused, we are so glued, we are so
with the visual.
With visual.
Yeah.
She may not be able to cook, clean, nothing.
Kwani cook and clean is what
bro,
the priority that
is not my guy.
Okay, so
boss.
Okay,
like again.
Okay.
If a guy wants a woman who can cook, clean, or whatever, but she's hot, a guy will make it. But unfortunately, the problem is when he makes that adjustment and he allows that to supersede the decision, then he has to live with that decision. He has to now live with that. Then he's gonna be complaining. He's gonna be lamenting. But then also the problem is, you really cannot come out and be honest and truthful with a mama.
Aye.
You cannot.
But then you're cheating yourself.
But
that's true. That's true. Is right.
You're cheating yourself. But at some point, it's a decision you have to make.
Okay, so here's the rule of thumb should be, and you know, then, and go ahead.
Uno, don't you think, like as Omosh is saying, that when you come up with a certain platform that is not truthful, you have to turn yourself to leave that platform, and how long can you sustain that?
You will not be able to sustain it for long.
You can't sustain it.
You will not be able to sustain.
There's some people who can sustain lies, but at some point it's
it will
come out.
It will come out.
Yeah, it will come out.
You are going to fumble.
And
at some point,
and your spouse or whoever your other half is will be able to see it, and it would then affect them and how they relate with you, and potentially it's what is it called, a game changer, potentially, because the person who you have been dealing with is not the person who they now have become, or their true self has now come out.
Okay.
You know, so
because like again, like, no, before we take this call, remember somebody said, you know, when a guy says or a mama says, me I love taking walks on the beach, but I like Oklahoma when there's no beaches.
Lakini unajua mmetoka kwa topic anyway.
Okay, no, ni sawa.
No, okay. We are being reeled back. We are being reeled back. We are being reeled back.
Yeah, let's take the caller. Maybe they're gonna reel us. And Brian Mitch here.
Thank you for calling the OneMicShow.
Okay, let's take
0073. Before we respond to Brian Mitch.
Yes, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Ashake. I'm calling from Venice.
Hey,
Okay, Washeke,
You sound like you're in Venice.
You sound like you're actually in Venice.
Washeke,
And there are no bundles in Venice.
Washeke, use your outside voice. The one you shout at Nani with.
My outside voice.
There you go. That one.
That
Yeah,
one.
your ice cream voice.
Yeah, your ice cream voice.
Okay, so the question here is really what you mean by who takes rejection better. I think, like Mika said, I think women we invest our emotions, and therefore we get hurt if our expectations are not met. For instance, if you're speaking to someone and it doesn't progress how you want it to be or at the speed that you want it to be, then of course you're hurt. And a lot of times, because of our socialization, our conditioning is we've been raised to not just date to have fun and get to know someone. We've been conditioned to date with a goal. Like you're looking at someone.
Hold up 1 minute there. I need to interrupt you there, right there, with one question. Right? Why is it okay if the roles are reversed? Why is it okay if the roles are reversed? Why is it that women will expect that you can start talking and they can end it and they want life to move on, but when a man ends it, it's the end of the world for them?
I don't think we
No, I'm not saying dating. I'm saying kukatiana. Mimi na wewe tumeanza kukatiana, right? We've started talking. We're knowing each other, right? At that particular point, we're knowing each other. So we've gone for a few dates. Tumeenda nini? Labda tumeshare
mulienda maandamano.
Tumeenda maandamano pamoja once or twice. And then I realized something about it that doesn't sit well with me, and I pulled back. Why is it easier for women to pull back from something while it's harder for a man? While it's supposed to be let equal to sawa, but for a man it's hard.
Huh?
I'm not talking dating. What you're describing is dating. What I'm talking is like tunajuana, the discovery part. The first 1 month, 2 months. You'll always hear like kula linitumia alifanya hivi. Well, at that particular time is maybe they didn't like something about you. They didn't like your behavior. They didn't like how you handled yourself somewhere. They didn't like they learned something about it that didn't sit well with them.
So
I don't think is that we don't take it well. It goes back to the point that I was trying to make, is that we invest. We're already so much invested, even though we're not dating, we're talking. Like if when a woman gives you time to pays attention to you, even if you're just talking, investor hiyo. Kuna kitu ameona hapo, kuna kitu amependa, ameangalia, 5 years down the line. There is something. So
I'm not saying even 5 years. I'm saying wewe umeona ukapenda ukainvest, na mimi nimeona sijapenda, and I pulled back. It's just the same way when you look at me, umekuja, then you see something you don't like in me and you pull back.
But Mika, what Washeke is saying is that women are conditioned that when they come into it, they've already.
I get what she's saying.
Let's give Washeke a chance to finish.
Yeah, let's give her time. But what I'm trying to say is what I'm trying to put on a question whereby to understand the crux of the question. Hapa tunajuana, tunakatiana, right? And I think Slay has kind of said something in the comments. But what I'm saying is that tunajuana. It's the first 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks ndo tunajuana. Hatujafika mahali pale unaweza sema sijui umeinvest nini ama nini. Ndo tunajuana. Was it easier for a woman to change her mind when we start talking and niambie mimi si feel your vibe, but mimi nikiambia dem mimi si feel your vibe, me it's looked at funnily.
Okay, Sheke, let's give Sheke a chance now.
I think in expectations, alafu pia a woman before, hata kama sayo that stage mnaongea and it hasn't gone anywhere, like a woman becomes okay with her own emotions before she pulls the trigger to pull back. That's how we deal. Like kwanza, you take care of your heart before you even tell the guy that I'm not feeling you. So you already take care of yourself. So Sazili, if it's on the other end where the guy is telling you like, I don't think we can go anywhere, like you react because you haven't taken care of yourself and you had this expectation. So that's why we react the way we react. But on the other hand, I think men handle rejection worse than women. Because we have instances where women are killed for rejecting a man. There are very few instances where a woman has killed a man because alimpata. Like for instance, like if I go somewhere at a club, mtu aninunulie drink alafu niombe number and maybe I'm not feeling them. Nitamdanganya, sitampatia namba yangu.
But ulikunywa drink.
Even my name kwani mtu kunibaia drink si kusema amenioa ama ananiona.
Kukubaia drink ni kukatia.
But it's the perception. It's the perception.
Yeah,
so if you're accepting that drink, just know, if you're accepting that drink,
tumpatie washeke chance. Tumpatie washeke chance.
So we
can also get to
kubaiwa drink ni kama boyfriend yako akibaia dem mwingine drink, utafurahia?
Wow.
Washeke.
I mean, kubaya to drink with no expectations. I don't think that's a big deal. Buying another chick a drink, I don't think that's a big deal. Unless they're what?
No. I think this is where maybe men and women look at things differently. Okay. Because
men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Because I'll tell you, and there's a lot of men here. When a guy has selected you, Washeke, in a club to buy a drink for you, it's never random. It's never random selection. It's not like you just happen to be there. There's a reason why he's doing that. So I think on the other hand, the way women look at it, like, oh, this is just a nice guy, like he's seen me thirsty and he's being a gentleman and buying me a drink. So that's that. I think that's how, like maybe, like from what Washeke is saying, maybe that's how sometimes ladies perceive it, and that's why they see it. Oh, like it's just a drink you bought me, so you're not even entitled to get my phone number. You're not even entitled to talk to me. You're not even entitled to be within a 6-inch radius of me. So I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong, but I think that's what maybe I might be getting from Asheke. Omoshi had something to say, and then we're going to go back to Sheke.
I think that there's exceptions to that rule. Yeah. And some of those exceptions could be like, it's a certain occasion, a birthday, or this or that. And maybe you don't even know the person who, like, let's say there are a bunch of, ladies, and you notice that, I don't know, they're celebrating something. And you just, maybe you're like, okay, I'll buy you a drink. Or maybe you know them in passing. You're like, okay, no problem. You guys get a bucket, and you move on. I don't think from that you'll expect anything. But if it's, the targeted, which is normally the case where it's targeted, and you're looking at somebody one-on-one and you like something about what you see, and you tell the waiter, ebu boss, ebu peleka drinks over there. And then, when they ask, point at me. And then, you wave. And then now you walk up since you bought the drink. That's the introduction. That's on Euro 1. So now when you go to stage 2 is where the phone number comes out and Washeke gives you 1-800, don't call me. Somebody catches some sorts of feelings.
No, I mean, I get the point, but I think the point I was making is that both sides think differently. Washeke, give us your last words and then we will read the comments.
I mean, I think, yes, John Gray said, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. So, we approach relationships, situationship, what have you, in a different way. So we view things different, men view things different, and I think that's where, we collide. Like, you buy me a drink, if I'm going out, if you buy me a drink, to me it's not a big deal because I'm there, I can buy myself a drink. So if you're buying me a drink with the expectation that it's gonna progress somewhere, me it's not hitting my mind because I'm not there for a man to buy me a drink. I'm there because I can also buy myself a drink. So I think that's where expectations versus reality for both sexes, I think that's where, we collide. We just deal with rejections a different way. But I want to say a little bit
do we collide when it's usually what's been pointed out as the norm in our social settings and gatherings? that like we know there are people who go to the club knowing that I don't need any money to buy a drink because there are people who will buy drinks for me based on how I look. And so it's been normalized in society that, as Omosha said, buying a drink is the icebreaker. It's usually the start of conversation. It's usually meant to mean something. And if you accept somebody's drink and you put yourself in that situation where these unwritten laws are set, you're putting yourself also in that position to be asked something. So I don't think declining a drink is such a big deal if you say you can go there and buy your own drink. If you don't want to talk to people's drinks, because people then, based on how they're used to being in that environment, have certain expectations.
Okay, aya sheke tumalizie.
I agree. What society has done is, as a woman, you're bringing something to the table, and a man, you're bringing something to the table. Where, like, if a man is giving you something, money or what have you, you're expected to put out, which is very unfair, and it makes it murky. But I'll still go back to the end of the day. Yes, we get hurt and maybe we react, but we don't react the way men react when they get rejected.
Okay, asante sana Washeke. And I agree with Washeke. You know, there are a few men who go to the extremes. But I think a lot of men.
A few.
I think a lot of men. Yeah, I think it's a smaller. The problem is those few, they get amplified. So it seems to be. It seems like
it's a lot.
Then it goes to that all men do this. But most of the time, when a majority of the people who get rejected, they just move on to the next one. You know, like there was something that Brian Mitch said here.
You cannot live on rejection.
Yeah.
The thing is this: people need to realize that attraction has to be a two-way thing, right? You ever see somebody and find them attractive? They don't find you attractive. They reject you. Move on.
Yeah, so
it's life.
Yeah, so Brian Mitchap anasema Gucci Man said girls are like buses. Miss one, next 15 ones coming. That's Brian Mitch. That is not the position of the OneMicShow or its affiliates. That is Brian Mitch.
Now you're Brian Mitch Kigonyi alinichenga ajabu. Where Brian Mitch ulinichenga but ni sawa nimekuforgive.
So Stephen JJ says there's a saying. Yes, Washeke.
Yeah, sorry. Before I leave, I want to say something. You guys say that. Not all men. However, and I want to emphasize, however, and there's this debate I've been going on online. If you ask a woman if they want to be alone with a man or a bear, they will choose a bear for reasons. And I pour out.
Okay, all right. So
wow.
You are the last party in
the... tunasahau ni online uko na algorithms.
It promotes certain stories.
Don't ever assume that what you see on social media speaks for even 10% of the world. The amount of Ali, One Mic, Omosh, you guys work in IT. You know how much data moves per second in the world. That's a perception that we have. We don't realize that what we see online is what we consume.
And
majority of it.
Yeah.
Like 99% of what you see online is things that align to you based on your algorithms. So never assume just because you see something that is the normal thing on the internet.
And I honestly think what the internet has done, what social media has done, has really skewed and warped perspectives of this antagonism. Even this gender wars, it's based on each side thinking the worst of the other side. Like you see the story of a woman cutting up tires, and scratching your car. It's very, I think in my lifetime, I've seen that, like maybe on TV, but in real life, I really don't know of any person who's ever done that to any of my friends. But then there's that perception sometimes that these issues that are made to go viral when a woman does something crazy. So the same, when a guy is fed up, like that guy from Massachusetts who was extradited to, who escaped to Kenya and is being extradited back to the U.S. When he killed the girlfriend and escaped, so this of course was big news. And then this news spreads out, like everywhere, and then it starts seeming. So then you start hearing that story of Kenyan men, you Kenyan men, and this is one story out of hundreds of thousands of Kenyan men.
But we've been lumped up into that.
So this story of and that's what sometimes warps people's opinions. The reason why I said that Pop Your Balloon show is interesting, because when you carefully listen, and this sometimes are people maybe mostly in their 20s, maybe in their 30s, when you hear sometimes what people are saying they're looking for, and I know that's a very pressure moment, like someone is passing by, then you're being asked, just based on what you see, like whether you like them or not, you ask a question or two. That's a lot of pressure. But then when you hear what people are saying, they're echoing, like what they hear, what's there, like on social media, and I think that's what's affecting. Friends, yes. That's what's affecting a lot of relationships today, because I think the expectation versus the reality
is social media.
Yeah, and it's both men and women. The expectation versus the reality.
Yes.
Are two very different things, which is why.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, Mika.
I went on. I was bored. When I'm bored, I usually do two things. Either I go to Truth Media and fight Republicans.
Truth Media or Truth Social?
Yeah, Truth ile Trump. I have
Truth Social, Truth. Yaani uko na account gadhe wewe, hebu tuambie. Okay.
Niko na account ya kuchokoza Republicans. Ukumbuki the last elections, I'm wanted in Tennessee. Siwezi ingia Tennessee na Alabama, I'll be shot. Huko nilikuwa wanted, waliniambia wanitaki huko. Anyway, I either go to Truth Media kuchokoza Republicans, ama I go to the dark side of social media on Instagram and X. Kuna siku niliamua kuenda Instagram, Instagram was such a red pill. The amount of hatred young men are being taught to hate women is appalling and pathetic.
Red pill,
so, as a red pill, yeah.
Red pill on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, and you see the problem, you have these personalities who are bashing women online, and they are considered, to be the kings. We have them everywhere. Yeah, we have them everywhere. We have them in Kenya. We have them in so many different places. So I think that's shaping perceptions. And it's making, like people have all these crazy expectations. Mi wanasema kitu moja. Unaona kwanza kitu ya cooking and cleaning. Okay, here's the deal. It's nice, like if a woman likes cooking and cleaning, and it's a bonus. But to me, there are so many other important things that people should be looking at. But then there's this one aspect that's being emphasized so much. Huyo dem ajui kupika.
I think what should happen is you should speak for self. I'm not talking about.
No, the thing is,
hold on, Mika. I'm not
cooking is
a
survival instinct.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not talking about you particularly, Ali.
Yeah.
But as an individual, unasema, mimi, my preference is somebody. I'm talking about my preference is somebody. Yeah. If you're a guy, my preference is somebody who can travel. My preference would be somebody with whom we can invest. We can do something.
So because what I'm saying, the problem is now
those
preferences
non-negotiable.
Ngoja Mika, those preferences like I think when you hear people talk about, and I know people have different preferences. When you hear people talk about hobbies, these are the preferences of hobbies, or like traveling, you know, like going out to see movies, going out. Those things are nice, but those things tend to be very fringe. So the most important things, you know, like that sustain relationships are not actually having common hobbies. It's how is one Mike when he's at his worst? How is Ali when he's at his worst? Can I handle that? You know, is that something that I'm willing to deal with the day to day? Because you're traveling, or you know, like someone who loves cars, or someone who loves, I mean, those are good things. You can actually live with someone who you have entirely different hobbies. I know of people who unakuta, you know, like wife anapenda kupati, lakini bwanake ni mtu anapenda mambo za politics, mambo za, and they get along. But it's about, you know, like when everything else is gone, you know, like the day-to-day shift in temperature, shift in mood swings, you know, like huyu hapa wanaenda hivi juu akirudi chini. Is that something that I can handle on a day-to-day basis? I think that's a part that we miss.
No. And you know what? I will agree with you. On this aspect, I will agree.
Yeah.
Because I have to, you know, I was actually telling somebody, you know, the worst mistake that people do and make is, you know, hey, what do you like or whatever. Actually, in dating should be, what don't you like? What turns you off? What activates your anger pill or whatever? Because now that will dictate if you can deal with this person's shortcomings.
Yeah.
That one of, let's say, traveling or whatever is also part of it, because now if you move from, okay, you leave your socks at the door, I don't like that crap.
Yeah.
That needs to be changed. Or I can't deal with that shit.
Yeah.
You're only different. But like, okay, you do this. This is my when I'm at my worst, I don't like being disturbed. But what? Yes. But what? Yeah. What calms you down? Let's go. Let's take a trip. Let's go play golf. Like but you're right. Where when you go with somebody, whoever you are, male or female, what is your pet peeve? What is your worst of the worst? Whatever you don't like. And I'm in agreement with you, Ali. Like that I think dating nowadays should actually be like, what don't you like? What turns you off? What annoys you?
Me no question. Is it really about what do you like, what you don't like, or is it really about your core beliefs? I believe in that if you're dating somebody, you have to have core beliefs. If you want somebody who's loyal, mature, emotionally intelligent, understanding, communicates, everything you're expecting from a partner should be things that you yourself are also expected to give that partner. Don't expect things from somebody that you cannot give. Alafu hizi zingine zote kwa ni personality. Where it comes in, this person has a personality, you have a personality. It comes to the point of, can you handle their personality? And can they handle your personality? But you guys have to have a core belief so that you can be able to be aligned in everything that you're doing together.
But I think to Ali's point, before you get to even core beliefs, you have to really shed yourself until you're naked. So
I think it's better, you know, like in the conversation that we're having earlier today, I think it's better to meet each other without that, because I think the problem,
even core beliefs.
I think the problem is whenever men and women meet nowadays, you already want to make a decision. Yeah. So I think the problem is when men and women meet nowadays is that people are already thinking, is this someone that I want to date? No. I think that's a problem. I think people should a problem. I think people should know each other for a little while, whereby there are no, you know, like there are no guardrails, whereby tuko tu, you know, cinema beste. You know, there are no guardrails, so you know, like as a you know, like as a man, you're seeing, you know, like the woman in her true self, And as the woman, you're also seeing the man in his true self and not in this manufactured
social media meals and boons.
Not this manufactured perspectives where we've discussed Dema Mesema, I like a guy who opens doors. So now you start opening doors because she said it. So you should just wait and naturally see, and then maybe a couple of, maybe not even weeks, I would say maybe a couple of months down the line, when someone, pops that question, you already have enough information. And by the way, you will never ever get to know the other person 100% until, and even when you live with them, you'll still not get 100%, but you'll get to 90%. Like humans generally, there's always that 10% that no one else knows about you until
survival.
Yeah. So ndo nasema, like don't ever expect that just because I've known this guy for 7 years, I know him. Like I hear those stories.
People evolve, Ali. People evolve. What will change?
There you go. People evolve.
Circumstances in life make people change.
Yes, people change.
But now the problem is, okay. Sometimes you can meet somebody, you've put up this facade.
Yeah.
In order for you to change, your change will be will break the mold or whatever you had put forth, and as a representation.
Yeah.
And that is why I think, maybe to buttress a point Mika was saying, I think it is just good to be open and upfront. I don't like shopping. Don't ever take me shopping. Yo, sasa mtu anakijua, I can't make Ali go shopping. Or if you're a guy, if Ali you like shopping, you can't make, Angelique or whatever go shopping, because that in itself is the beginning of setting up an environment that, you'll be like, me I don't like, I like I'm a piano. Or like if Amosh is having a bash, me nitaenda. Or if Ali has a show, nitasikiza podcast, and I cannot be removed from that.
Yeah,
but because setting boundaries,
Amosh is avoiding.
He's very quiet, by the way.
That's what he normally does in such conversations.
And by the way,
so that he can emerge as the hero.
In fact, let's focus on him right now.
Yeah, so that he can emerge as the hero.
Yeah,
you need to talk.
Yes,
and reveal stuff.
Please.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
What is it that you guys want me to reveal?
Jagavi.
What is it that you guys want me to reveal?
Say it. Just say it.
There's nothing to reveal.
Okay, then let me go to comments as you're thinking of what to reveal and what not to say. Let me see.
I already told you guys.
Stephen JJ said that there's a saying, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So niko na one mic. Nyamasheke, I think that was a past comment. Phil Ansema, things move way too fast nowadays. Adhiambo Dax says, listening to you all while chopping peppers, nataka mulie sawa sawa. And then Slay says, unatukanwa ama utapigwa in some extreme cases. Yes, that's problematic. And then that thing for drinks is expectations too. Why can't you just buy the drink bila strings attached? And I will also say, why also can't you reject the drink? Like if you feel
it's an icebreaker. I keep saying this. It's an icebreaker. Everybody who goes to clubs knows an icebreaker, unless conditions had already been set prior to that says it is not.
Okay. Haya, sawa. Steven anasema, okay, this was a past comment. You guys were interrupting Washeke too much, but let me see what
we're
other
having
comments.
a conversation and there's a lag in the feed.
So Slayer Anasema, I had a friend who was like that. Let me see. You also have the choice to refuse the drink. That's Louis Muya. Phil Anasema, drinks pia siku hizi sio bei rahisi. And then
he's right.
Very right.
$20 in Silver Spring.
Yeah, and
you
then,
can go drying.
Yeah, and then
imagine you bought 3.
Gade.
Kwada siku ile.
Where?
Datu.
Either two.
And you have not eaten.
Either two.
Boss.
Yeah, and then Washeke says some Kenyan men are cooking chapo.
Chapo lazima.
Mika nasema chapo ni lazima.
I'm with Mika on that one.
Irreducible minimum.
Yeah,
my
and
friend.
then Slay says what Ali said, that is facts. Washeke says increasing our net worth is more important than cooking chapo. I can afford to pay a chef.
That is fine.
That's fine.
And then Dennis Wesonga anasema no bad, uno bad, no, uno bad. I don't know.
Wewe fafanua hiyo.
And then Washeke anasema I specialize in increasing our family's net worth. Tutalipa tutalipa chef apike chapo. And then Dennis Wesonga, what are your triggers? That's a very important question.
Yes.
What are your triggers?
Yes, what are your triggers?
Yeah. What
is your pet peeve?
Yeah.
What don't you like?
And then
but those are the things that you lay out in the open. Then you never get to that point.
That's we're in agreement with that.
Yeah. So and then again, Washeke here says something that I think is also very important. Communication is the most underrated skill in a relationship. A lot of issues can be resolved with communication, and I think it's important.
And negotiation.
It's important when we talk of communication. There's sometimes a way, like there's these things that you hear that saying guys are poor communicators. It's stuff that goes around sometimes. Now, here's what I'm going to say about communication. And here is also based on experience of what I do professionally. I think one of the most important things is to learn people's communication personality. So there are those people who get angry and they shout. There are those people...
They raise their voice.
There are those people
like
when they get angry, they keep quiet.
Like Omosh.
There are those people who give instant responses. There are those people who need to marinate. They will not give an instant response. So I think there tends to be judgment. There tends to be judgment on people who have a different communication personality as you're a bad communicator. Because I said something.
Than the receiver? Is it the receiver?
Yes.
Or the
So sometimes, these kinds of
especially
receivers,
women accuse men for that.
No. Generally, I'm gonna say, like
I think it doesn't matter. I think it's only.
But sometimes men sometimes tend to get accused of being poor communicators. It's
not tense.
Yeah.
We are accused of being bad communicators.
But what I'm saying is that generally people, you have to learn someone's personality of communication, just because I feel like there tends to be judgment sometimes on communicators who are constantly telling you, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'll be thinking tomorrow and next week. And then there are people who are not like that. They tend to be
100
reflectors. They tend to contemplate. They need to sleep on it. They need to slow roll it. But then there tends to be quick judgment. So to me, the bad communicator here is to that person who's making judgment on this other person is a poor communicator.
Reaction.
So I think it's important to learn. I think it's important to learn different personas for communication. Mika, you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, what I wanted to add on this was this. When you say that somebody is a poor communicator, how receptive or are you of what they're trying to communicate to you? Do you sit down and listen and understand? Do you counter it? Do you fight it? Do you block it out? Are you a safe space for them opening up to you? Because at the end of the day, when you feel that communication to you is you being listened and you not listening and understanding somebody, and also, are you acceptance of what the person is saying? Because you might have a problem with somebody, and somebody listens to that problem and tells you, unfortunately, that is a you problem, it's not a me problem. Because let's be honest, people say that they want emotional, mature men, right? And when you ask a woman, when you're saying you want an emotional, mature man, are you ready for a man who will be able to tell you no, or be able to call you out, or be able to refuse to understand your emotions, or understand your argument, because to them it doesn't agree with them? Remember, when you interrupt with somebody's peace and they tell you a no and they walk away from you, you're ready to handle that. So communication, as Aliyah said, there's different ways people communicate, but also look at yourself before you call somebody a bad communicator. Are you an easy communicator? You're a good communicator to them. And then when that is answered, then you can say that. But most of the times, we do brand other people as bad communicators while we don't listen to what they're saying because they're not agreeing. Just because somebody doesn't agree with what you believe in or what you say, it doesn't make them a bad communicator. They're also giving you a piece of what they feel about that situation. communication doesn't mean that everything has to end up with you getting your way. Communication means that you, both of you, can be able to express your differences. You both understand each other's differences. Then you realize out of these differences which ones you can improve on, and which one each of you as an individual needs to improve on, because it doesn't involve the other person. You might think they're responsible for them, but it's actually you who's responsible for them. If I have a problem with Omosh, and I don't want Ali to talk to Omosh, mi ndo na shida na Omosh, Ali ana shida na Omosh. So I'm not supposed to be getting mad to because Ali and Omosh have a relationship. Niambia Ali acha kuongea na Omosh ati no, that's a me problem. I have to fix it. So we also have to look at communication from our own perspective and ask ourselves, are we good communicators or not? Back to you in the studio.
No, I mean, you know, like your aspect, your communication, I think, unfortunately, nowadays, you know, like, and it hit our generation and all generations after us, is that a lot of mentorship that people get sometimes comes from peers, friends, and it comes online. That village system that used to be there, it's kind of fallen apart. And when you don't have, you know, like another unique set of values, that you can agree on, in as far as even how to handle certain issues like finances. That's another very big part of relationships that Washeke is talking about. That's another very big part. You have to understand the finance persona. You know, like there's nothing wrong, you know, like with a woman wanting the man to take care of all the bills in the house. You just have to understand that that's the financial persona of that woman. She wants to be taken care of, you know, like are you willing to deal with that? And then there's also, you know, like the other persona that are like, we have to do this 50-50. So I think those are the things, those are the day-to-day things. Those are the things that actually break people apart. It's not hobbies. It's not, you know, like I like movies, or I like seeing the sunset while the moon rises.
We don't listen to the same music.
Or we don't listen to the same music. No. Or I like sports and you don't. You can actually survive with someone who doesn't, if you love our sports. You can survive with someone who doesn't like sports.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you look at now, when you go and start looking at that superficial stuff, that's when people get in trouble, when now reality, you know, like when shit hits the fan. Yeah, so so many comments were coming in here. Let me see what Shek is saying. Man, those things you do to love bomb me at the beginning, please continue for the duration of the relationship. Don't pull back. It feels like catfishing. You have to understand each other's communication style. Phil says also, guys, you should be able to read the room. It doesn't take more than 20 minutes in conversation to know how far you want to go. And then Stephen JJ says, barenyewe tunapenda madem wa kwanza awe figa namba 8, macho hayana pazia. We will sit with wakina OneMicShow na tutasema huyo dem ni mrembo. We appreciate our women, asanteni sana. Yeah, so real quick before we wrap up the show, there was a story that I think we're meant to do it last week, but we never had a chance to do it, and this was in the Paris Olympics, where the French team barred one of their sprinters from being in the opening ceremony because she was wearing a hijab. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like, for those of us who are familiar with France, we are not surprised. They seem to get triggered, and they seem to get
they seem to be bothered.
Angst by
something about that. I just don't get it.
By Muslims who are following the French Constitution, saying that there's freedom of practice of religion. You know, like so many other religions.
There's separation between church and state. I think that one.
That separation between church and state has to do with the way churches used to be the government. That's what separation of church and state means. I know sometimes a lot of people who like apologizing for what France is doing, they'll try to throw that in. But separation of church and state has to do with the country.
It has to do with the power that the Pope had. The Pope had so much power in terms of he was controlling the politics. He was controlling the government, yes, and the whole of Europe. Like basically, the Pope was controlling the strength of the world. So depending on who was the Pope and what they were coming in, they will influence even on who will become kings or who will become kings or who will give. It was so. The church was so powerful to a point whereby if you didn't align to the church, they would overthrow you and appoint another king.
Yeah. So that has been. It never was, like the free practice of religion, which you can practice it, like in public spaces, in private spaces. There was no restriction of that. Just like the way nuns would wear, like their attire in public spaces, it's never been a problem. But it has become a problem with Muslims in France. So I don't know, France, of all Western nations, France is the most problematic. And funny enough, France is the Western nation that has the highest percentage of Muslims.
And that was one of those things I had. When you mentioned that, I was like, huh?
Yes.
How?
France has the highest percentage of Muslims.
So now that brings in
Morocco,
and then brings in voting.
So,
but you talked about voting being
the thing is, we also need to look at how France. How can I say? France has right now. I think the government has gone to the right wings, right?
No, the right wing did not win. They almost won. They almost won this past election.
And, there's never been a hidden. They've never hidden
it. They've never hidden the disdain of Muslims.
They've never hidden it. The fact that the reason why they use Islam, they attack Islam is they use Islam to attack the immigration issue,
to attract votes
of the immigration issue that is there, like of all these people who are coming, all this. They always say that all these immigrants that are coming in are Muslim and blah. So they try to make it point like it's. So people have been desensitized on the terms of like black people. They're used to it. France has become so mixed that they're used to the fact that black people are normal to them. So the only other way you can fight all these immigrants is using religion. And the right wing of that country use it so much. And unfortunately, when they were in power, they put in legislation that allows them to use it and to inflict it and to fight. But if you look at it, when Alele Blues step into the field, or the rugby team steps into the field, you see players doing the sign of the cross and they walk into the field. That's a religious statement. It's the same thing as wearing a hijab. Right? Because if I'm wearing the hijab to cover my hair and I want to play the game because my religion tells me to cover my hair, then if my religion tells me I have to pray before I embark onto something and I do the sign of the cross and walk in, it's the same thing. It's religion. So it makes them hypocrites for it. But they push it out of hate. No other reason.
But now you see the problem with France, because France also went to the point of saying, people who are playing for the national soccer team are not allowed to fast. Even if it's during Ramadan, you cannot fast. And there's a couple of players, I think this affected the youth team. There's a couple of players who dipped because of that, because Ramadan only comes that one time in a year. And we know all the time, we see players, play and perform while fasting. We've seen Kyrie Irving playing basketball while fasting. We've seen so many players do it while fasting.
Pogba.
Yeah. So now, they're saying that you can't do that. Now, there's been a push, across the world to try and sensitize the Muslims in France to start taking part in French elections. Because the problem that France has, despite the fact that they have the highest percentage, it's the highest percentage Muslim in any Western nation, even of a neighboring United Kingdom. France has a higher percentage of Muslims. But then Muslims in the United Kingdom have a much, there's also issues there, but they have a much better time in the United Kingdom than the Muslims in France. And part of the big problem in France is that the Muslim French population does not vote. And I tried to dig up to find out why is it that despite all these issues they're going through, why is it that they're not taking part in French elections? And I came to learn that there was a while back, there was when a lot of Muslims were still fairly new in a lot of these Western countries, there was some kind of fatwa that was released to say that voting was not allowed. And that thing persisted until now. A city like Paris is almost 25% Muslim. They can very easily produce a mayor if they wanted to.
100.
Yes. Right now, the issue is if you want to get more votes as a French politician, go attack the Muslims. If you attack the Muslims, you will get more airtime. You'll get more people following you. It's because they have refused to vote. When you look at a country like America, I always tell people to guess, for example, like how many Muslims are in the US. 9 out of 10 times people get it wrong because we are very few. We are much fewer than most people think, but because of activities that we do and that we have, the society feels us. We are only 1%. We are only 1% of America. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes people will give you 5%. I've even had people say 10%. Yeah, we are just 1%.
But France, if they did something,
yes,
they can actually
not necessarily even elect Muslims in office, but they can influence, political decisions.
My boy, the one who's going to Kenya.
There are many boys going to Kenya.
No, Muslim, the cleric.
Oh, you're talking about Yasir Kadhi.
Yes, that guy.
Yasir Kadhi is going to be in Kenya. I believe it's this weekend.
And
actually next week, yes.
Weekend. And he was talking about, it's like people have to think as over here. And he was talking about, I think he mentioned that a fatwa against voting or something like that. But he said that sometimes then if you don't do that, then you are really putting your decisions in somebody else's hands.
Yes.
But you have to come back. You have to like really take control. Come and take the reins. If you have the ability and do it, then you can control your future, whatever. Not so that you can just but you have a voice.
No, his pragmatic approach, and this is not just his approach. This was also the approach of Rasul Muhammad, peace be upon him. The pragmatic approach is if you're facing life and death, and there's pork right in front of you and Johnny Walker, instantly it becomes halal. If you're facing a matter of life and death, you're dying of hunger, and there's pork right in front of you. So that's usually the example, because pork is one of those things that everybody knows it's haram. But here is an example that all scholars agree on. If it's a matter of life and death, the only thing, of course, this is a very rare situation. It's most but if you're in that situation where pork is the only food available, it's a matter of life and death. It becomes halal on you instantly, and you have to eat it. So whatever reasoning or whatever fatwas they gave to make voting haram, here now you're faced with a situation whereby your children are being told to take off the hijabs. Your wives, your sisters are being told to take off the hijabs. They are stopping you from practicing your religion. Your kids who are playing sports are being told you cannot fast. Yeah, you cannot fast. So now you're weighing, you have on one side here, you're being told that you cannot practice your religion, but you're still holding on to, this minority opinion that said that Muslims are not, allowed
and yet
to
you're
vote.
25%
in Paris. That is
in Paris.
In overall, I think
Start
it's like 10%.
Start there.
Overall, it's like 10%. So it's a very dicey situation in France. But what also the French people need to understand is that 20, 30 years from now, because the French people, see them, they're about living life, being happy. They're not giving birth. Guess who's giving birth to 6, 7 kids? It's the
hijab wearing.
It's the Arabs and the Africans. You know, and the Africans, I think they're like, they might be like 50% of the Africans there, and it might be give or take. I may not be quite accurate, but it's about it's about give and take. You know, they're 50% Muslim and 50% not. Those are the people who are giving birth. So in 20, 30 years, you will have those spaces being, you'll have France now becoming 30, maybe even 40% Muslim. So mtafanya nini at that point?
My friend, I don't even think it will go that far. You remember when France won the World Cup? And 2000 and
it was 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And Trevor Noah did this thing about Korea, that being like Africa or whatever.
Yeah.
And the French came out, ambassador came out with a statement.
Yeah, I know.
And we're like, this one won't even take long. I'm telling you. But I'm hoping, I am praying that, you know, that the Muslims, our brothers and sisters, uko watamka, and then they will understand how elections have consequences.
Yeah.
Once they understand that,
yeah.
Shida ni vitu hao wazungu waliweka kwa hiyo nini yao, hiyo lo yao.
But let me tell you, I think I don't understand the French law, but from what I gather, like even over here, like unaanza uko pole pole. Una effect, because politics is local.
And then you see now France,
politics is local.
With this same Olympics, remember at the very beginning of the Olympics, they were mocking the Last Supper. There was that image.
Supposed.
Yeah, there was that image mocking the Last Supper.
Biblical scholars are coming out and saying that has nothing to do with the Last Supper.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, France, what are you guys trying to do? Because on that Last Supper table, they had like
they were saying they were going for the what's the name? The artist. There's a painting, right? There's a painting that's been done. The painting of Da Vinci did Last Supper painting, right? So they were recreating that painting, but then it was a miss, because even if you're saying you're trying to recreate that painting, that you have your masterpiece, that masterpiece refers to the Last Supper, and whatever you did was a mockery to religion.
But you see,
they have to own it. Like, they have to own it. That was a failure. There's a reason why the IOC has pulled down the opening ceremony videos anywhere online. You cannot find them.
This opening ceremony for France, I don't know. It was
a failure. It was a big failure.
Whatever they tried to do along the river, I think they should have just gone. Whatever they tried to do, for me, it was kind of a flop for me, because they took it away for the athletes.
They tried to market Paris, France, as a destination city.
Yep.
They tried to use the river and to show all the tourist attractions. And they're opening the game.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Everything that they tried, it was a failure. You mock religion, you mock a lot of people. You angered a lot of people. The thing is, the Olympics is not a Western affair only. The Olympic is a worldwide affair.
Correct.
Where is the next Olympics going to be?
Majority of the people who are watching the Olympics felt offended.
Where's the next one gonna be? Where's the next Olympics gonna be? Next Olympics itakuwa wapi? Me, I'm already looking forward to the next Olympics, because
I think they're in Australia, if I'm not wrong, and then America.
Okay. America, I know the World Cup is coming here, 2026. Your time in the Caribbean. Olympics is also gonna be in the US. What year? In 2020, 2028?
I'll tell you, the next Olympics is going to be
the
in
next
LA.
Olympics is in LA, 2028.
Yeah. Or 2028.
And that's the one that I think is split in different cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
The World Cup is the one that's going across
Mexico, Canada, and the US.
Summer Olympics is in LA.
What ones are kujipanga?
That right.
And the
there.
last time LA had it was what,
84 was the last Olympics. Yeah.
Because
Carl
96
Lewis.
was in Atlanta.
Yeah, Carl Lewis.
Yeah, so America's been having a lot of Olympics because 84,
And then
and
it-
then 96 Atlanta.
No, you know the
also
thing
came-
is,
it
what they
also
say the
came in-
Olympics is the city killer.
No, World Cup was in 90, was in
No,
US.
So Olympics,
96 we
Olympics,
had,
the
I think
city
we
killer
had
Atlanta,
because,
one at a time.
when you host the Olympics, what most cities have been doing when they host the Olympics, they've been building infrastructure.
Yes.
And then when the Olympic leaves, those infrastructure don't have anything to be done for.
Like in Atlanta.
They wrote, Atlanta, Beijing, Rio,
Montreal
Tokyo,
in Canada. Yeah.
London, Montreal. Like, so all of these, they're left in debt and debt in the thousands. So what has been happening, or what's now happening, is cities that are bidding are cities that have the infrastructure, and what they cannot have, they will improvise, and they tell the IOC we're not spending any, because the IOC needs to be hosted regardless of what it is. So right now it's become easier for cities that already have the infrastructure to bid to host, because other cities don't want to go that way. Your budget, you take a 3 years budget for your city to host an Olympic Games, which doesn't make you break even because the tickets are damn cheap. It's never a for profit thing. So your city will get broke and dies.
Yeah, Olympics.
So right now you're gonna see a lot of recycling.
Yeah, Olympics is generally
going to be hosting.
Yeah, Olympics is generally very bad business. That's why I'm glad it's never been in Africa. You know, like, I hope it never comes to Africa, because it's bad business. Because you have to build all kinds of infrastructure for like people to swim, and infrastructure for people to row, and infrastructure for people to do all kinds of stuff. And then once you're gone, at least with World Cup, it's only stadiums. It's only soccer stadiums, and that's it. Anyway, Uno Mike.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mika, kade tugende.
Like to wrap it up. Hey, it's a hot weekend. And it's a hot, very hot. It's been a hot week. Anyway, it's an month imefika, August. The year is ending. Mi bado nafikiria sijui tuko siku gani, but anyway, the year is ending. Summer is ending, back to school is here. Wazazi, ng'ang'aneni, wapenzi wachangiaji, thank you very much for joining us, showing us. And thank you for calling Osheke, thank you for calling Dr. Ongusi, and then good conversation. We have a break coming up, right? Last weekend of August. Final summer break.
Yes, we have a break. I think we might take it. It might be the last weekend. Not decided on the dates, but yes, we have a break coming up.
So, I just want to tell the listeners, like, as we're getting to the colder season, remember there's a very bad strain of COVID that's coming out right now. Protect yourself, take care of yourself. It's very infectious, and it's putting people down. So take care of yourself, like Chungeni. Summer is ending out. People are going to the last outside meeting gatherings and everything, but also take care of yourself. Just this train is bad. Chungeni. All in all, have a wonderful weekend. Remember, don't drink and drive. Peace out.
Thank you, Mika Och. To the rest of the panelists, Asanteni, and to our viewers and listeners and friends and could-be, would-be friends, first-timers, Asanteni, thank you. Remember, we do this every single week because you guys bring us together. Without you, there is no us, and we appreciate you in every way, format that you come to us. I know it was a random it was our random give back, have a conversation, and let's let it all out Friday. And we really enjoyed ourselves. I think we could have had this conversation until 4 o'clock in the morning, but Olympics would be on in an hour after that. But with that said, have a good weekend. See you guys next weekend, or should I say next Friday. In between, we have Olympic Games that are ongoing. Kenya's not necessarily doing too badly. I think a lot of the things that they've been in, either that are finals, they've either medaled or they are in the heats for track and field. So tomorrow, Omanyala is gonna be on, and I'm not sure if he's in. I think he might be in heat 1. I'm not sure if he's in heat 1 or heat 2, which probably be 4 o'clock Eastern time. So, but check your local time zones and see, what time track and field is going to be ongoing, and the soccer also that's still ongoing. I think Egypt made it through. I think they're the only team left, because I think Morocco might have been beat, but I can't remember. But
by who?
It's soccer.
Beat by who?
The quarterfinals, right?
Morocco.
Yeah. Check
by who?
Check
the US.
No, I don't know what was the score.
My friend.
Wasn't that what they played today, right?
4-0.
I don't know.
Well, America was
so I guess Egypt and Morocco are still in. Good. And France I think also was.
They beat Argentina.
Yes.
And
France.
That was payback. That was payback.
Yes.
Yeah.
From what they said.
Thierry Henry is looking he's looking like he's the answer.
No. Yeah. But this one was personal.
He's looking they're going for gold.
This one was personal.
He was ready to get in the field and beat guys. But anyway, that's that's for another day. With that said, have a good week. It's been, we have a kind of sort of heat wave. I'm not understanding what's going on. Mareko Ju, Mareko Chini, Ju weather. Joe, just be careful. Like Mika said, yeah, mimi AC yangu siku hizi waga nafanyaga kazi ingine, even my neighbors, I think they come to water from outside. So with that said, have a good week, and we, as usual, always enjoy you guys. Peace.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, DJ Omosh Fire. Asante sana to all those who are tuned in. One of the Random Fridays, it's been a while since we had a Random Friday. We have, other important guests lined up for you. We'll let you know who they are. I might have hinted earlier on who we expect to have in studio soon. And then we're going to be taking a break. We are not sure exactly when that break will be, but we'll announce that ahead of time so that you can find something to do on your Friday nights, because we also need that break. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye bado anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Si chagui, si kagui, na si bagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week.